It was really a jumbled. Donnie was really upset. He just said, "Oh man, look at what our show has kind of devolved into here. I mean, it's not even, none of this is very funny, and Fonzie's jumping over a shark, and we all thought it was a little ludicrous. And I kept saying, hey man, Donnie, we're a hit show. Relax, it's hard to have great episodes one after another. Fonzie jumping over a shark is going to be funny."
What the hell happened to them? Dwayne The Rock Johnson saga marches forward. I am your host, Patrick Scale, and joining me, of course, is Jack Rabbit.
Joe?
Joe, that sounds good.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, why not?
Me? Hi.
And, of course, we have fan-favorite guest, I think our most frequent collaborator, Mr. Paul Geromini.
Hello. I think at this point, I deserve a cool nickname.
What would you?
My fourth appearance.
Wow, 4. Wow.
Yeah, 4?
That's good.
I feel like it's 5, but I don't know what the other movie would be, so it might be 4.
It's a 5-timers club.
Two skeyhill, not skeyhill films.
Two Sandler films and now two Rock films.
Two Sandler films.
Yeah, you might be right.
One rock film.
No,
2 rock films.
Yeah, this is the second
one.
Oh, wait, what are the other 2? You did
Doom and the classical one, Hercules.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I thought it was 5. Well, then do you want to be P Jizzle? Do you want to be CPU Wiz? What do you want to be?
Maybe Mr. Geromini's just fine.
Okay.
I like it. Very classical.
Well,
nice.
Joe, what movie are we doing this week?
We are doing the movie where big meets bigger. Rampage.
All right, and before we get into that plot synopsis, we of course like to thank our audio maven, Lev Van Rensselaer, for making the audio sound so smooth and slippery. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Laramie Cigarettes. The best way to kill a monster is to have them pick up smoking. Laramie Cigarettes, available now wherever those are still sold. All right, Joe, what is the plot synopsis of this movie?
When 3 different animals become infected with a dangerous pathogen, a primatologist and a geneticist team up to stop them from destroying Chicago.
Just Chicago. Everything else would have been fine.
Just one little city.
That was the stakes. One city.
Make it smaller.
Yeah,
it's a big city.
Yeah. Mr. Geromini requests for being on the show because Mr. Geromini and I have a history with this property. Back in high school, we took a computer science class together. Mr. Geromini works with computers now. It makes sense why he would take that class. Why did Patrick take this class, you ask? Well, because I actually had I needed to take a science class for the colleges I was applying to, and I took anatomy and physiology. And the first day of that class, you take a test, and the teacher goes, if you don't do well on this test, you're probably not going to do well in the class. And I took the test, and I did horribly. And I was like, oh no. So then I immediately went to the guidance people to change the class, and I needed a science class. And the only one that sounded remotely interesting was computer sciences, since I knew nothing about them. I didn't own one, so I wanted to figure out what their deal was. But it turns out computer science, not a science class. It ended up being a math class for some reason, taught by a woman who didn't seem to know much about computers.
That's good.
So...
But how did the Rampage connection come out of this computer class?
Being a computer class taught by a woman who teaches math and not computers and didn't seem to want to teach the class at all, we mostly were left to our own devices. And a fellow classmate of ours, Josh Gorham, you may remember him, Joe.
Hey.
Yeah, the Gore Hamburglar himself brought in a bunch of these ROMs and put them on everybody's computer. And most people were playing like Unreal Tournament? Was that what it was called, Mr. Geromini?
Yeah, loved the Unreal Tournament back in the day.
Yeah, but I had noticed one of the games was Rampage World Tour, which was an arcade game I used to like playing whenever I could sneak away to the Natick arcade, Fun and Games.
Wow.
Remember that one? That might still be there. It's not as big as it used to be, but I think it's still there. Unless I'm just bigger than I used to be. Maybe that's the difference.
You are tall.
And so,
big means bigger.
So I finally got to play through it all and beat it, and that felt rewarding. Mr. Geromini watched me do a lot of it, but I think he might have played some himself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was never very good at Rampage.
All you do is destroy buildings. That's all you have to do. That's it.
Well, I mean, you got to avoid the army people shooting at you.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So here's
how, challenge.
Yeah, here's how the game differs from the movie, Joe. And the game actually has been around for a while. This World Tour one was like the PlayStation age game, but you had like just regular Rampage that came out for like the Commodore 64 and later the Nintendo. These were also arcade games. And then I think there was a Rampage Universal Tour. But in this one, you're the monsters, the lizard, the monkey, and the wolf. The lizard, the wolf named Ralph here, and George the monkey, and then the lizard they never name in the movie, but his name is Lizzie. It's actually a her, because in the game, you're actually humans that get like experimentally, like you get chemically altered accidentally and you turn into giant monsters. So when you get defeated, you shrink back into a person, which seems like a good thing, but for some reason it's not.
I thought it was a gator.
I mean,
gator?
In the gator, it's a gator, but for us it was a big lizard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and named Lizzie. I always played as a lizard because he looked cooler. And you beat up buildings, and at some point when you beat up a building enough, you can like knock it into, you like open up a flag. Usually you find people to eat, which restores your health or money, or I don't know why you need money as a giant monster.
Eat people.
You can eat people. Yeah, destroy build. The goal is to destroy the whole city. That's the goal before you get killed by the army men. But in some buildings, sometimes you find a flag, and if you can punch the flag enough to send it to a nation you want to go to, a main stage nation, you then travel to that nation after that level and destroy cities there until you find another flag. If you go to all the main cities, there are many more than non-main cities, but those are just red herrings. If you go to all the main cities, you will then fight the executive of the chemical company that poisoned you, who has turned himself into a giant monster. And that's how you beat Rampage World Tour.
Oh. You gave some nice tips and tricks.
Yeah, how much of that made it into this movie?
Not much.
Well, the city destruction.
Yeah,
we got that.
There was some city destruction, not a lot.
That is just some boxes they tick off for a rock movie, city destruction.
And helicopter flying.
We got the geneticist lady being eaten.
Yeah, I don't know if the geneticist lady was like The Rock's love interest, whereas like evil corporate overlord, she got eaten.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
I don't know why that was the plan to cure George when the previous two people George had encountered on the top of that building, he just sort of flung away. So why did they know he wanted to eat her specifically? That seems odd, right? And here's what's even crazier is that these monsters are traveling like from across the country to get to Chicago. No other city is destroyed. They're like very peacefully traveling through the woods and then like suddenly in Chicago.
Well, they don't have any other beefs with those cities. They have the beef with Chicago.
Is it? Yeah, I guess, but they didn't have to like move through a city and accidentally destroy it on their way to Chicago.
Maybe they just respawn in Chicago.
Okay.
There's probably just no big cities on the way. It's just Chicago and, wasteland.
Yeah, were they coming down from Canada or something?
Yeah, they're like Montana or Wyoming.
Okay.
Wyoming, which has like 4 people per square mile.
Let me just tell you something.
Yeah.
So the budget on this movie was $120 to $140 million.
Yeah, I see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a nice big size budget. Well, it grossed $101 million.
101 Dalmatians?
No, $1 million.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty low. But
is that worldwide or is that domestically?
That's domestic.
Uh-oh.
Worldwide?
Yeah.
Worldwide, this motherfucker grossed $327 million. So
big bucks.
So we'll be waiting for Rampage 2
it just seems
coming.
Like the world is like, give me the rock, give me the rock. And Americans like, I think we've had enough.
I knew the monkey wasn't going to die at the end of this movie, even when they made me think he was, because I knew there was going to be a sequel. I said, there's no way this tentpole blockbuster movie isn't setting itself up for a sequel.
Was this a summer blockbuster?
Nope.
When was the release date?
It came out like 2 weeks before the Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, well, that's why. It's trying to get ahead, right? Because the summer blockbusters now move earlier and earlier as they keep trying to outdo each other, but also as we seem to be making only blockbusters these days.
I believe they moved it up a week because it was supposed to come out at the end of April.
Yeah.
And it would have been like a week before Avengers. And they're like, no, just move this thing up.
Yeah,
Come on, get it out. But it's crazy because The Rock has a movie coming out 2 months later and then another movie coming out like 2 months later. It's nonstop in 2018.
Yes.
So you just brought up the sequel. Let me bring this to your attention.
Yeah.
Director Brad Payton was asked if the rat in the beginning of the film was based on Larry from the Atari Lynx port of the original game. Payton responded, "We didn't name him Larry, but I'm going to use that if there is a sequel. I'm going to make the rat's name Larry." The film was also speculated to be a prequel to the Walking Dead television series because of the similarities between Negan and Harvey Russell, both of which are played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, most people probably know him from them, but I'll always think of him as Alicia Florrick's season 7 love interest in The Good Wife.
It seems odd to dedicate so much time to a rat that didn't really have any effect in the film.
It's the typical teaser thing, Mr. Geromini. All the action and horror films have these. We got to spend 5 minutes watching this thing happen. I would hate to be the character in the teaser of a movie. You never survive. Even when she looked like she had made it out away from the rat, her thing just explodes anyway. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
You just can't
I got
win.
one more thing for you.
Yeah.
So there was a lawsuit allegation for this movie.
No.
In late March 2018, German director Uwe Boll, famous for his movie adaptations
His
of
terrible movie adaptations of video games. Yes, go on. Go on.
Threatened to file a lawsuit against Warner Brothers if the studio did not change the film's title. Boll, who produced and directed an unrelated Rampage film trilogy about a spree-killing revolutionary who shares Boll's political views, claimed that the Warner Brothers film would shrink his brand and revenues he could use for future installments of his Rampage films. He also went on to say that the Warner Brothers films confuses the audience and is one of those typical feel-good popcorn movies. As of 2021, Boll has not sued.
Compared to you, Boll's feel-bad popcorn movies?
Yeah, like what's that
Blood
one?
Rain?
Postal? Yeah, you seen Postal?
I have actually seen the U-Boat Postal film.
Oh wow, I've only heard of it.
Not great.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Joe, did you know this movie was based on a video game?
Yes, I did.
How did you know that? Because I posit that most people would not know that this was.
Well, I played the Rampage game.
Okay, that's good.
But it was on a computer, and it was like a link from the movie website.
Yeah,
it was this like really shitty like Flash game.
Mr. Geromini, how many people do you think knew that this was a video game going in?
I think people of a certain age, probably a little older than we are, would have a good shot at knowing it.
Definitely.
But I think it's only a segment of the population.
Yes.
Like maybe 35-year-olds, I think, would know about it. But probably people who are younger and people who are older than that.
Okay.
Yeah, only 80s kids would know.
But like they wouldn't care anyway, right? Because the kids just want to see The Rock do The Rock things, I guess.
Yeah, they want to see Rock play with the monkey and have the monkey flip him off or something, you know?
I think it's odd that you would try and get this property. Because I think a property should add to the value on this film. And if this film doesn't have the Rampage property, I think it does exactly the same, like box office performance, etc.
Completely agree.
Yeah, but there is, like, you may notice in the bad guy's office area in the background, there is a Rampage arcade game slightly out of focus, most shots.
I did see the cabinet. Mm-hmm. For those playing at home, this is minute 1840, if you'd like to go back.
Do you think that, like, the bad guys were playing that arcade game and then they thought, like, oh, we could do this. We could make this thing. Yes, some deep character motivation there. Joe, did you notice that the male bad guy is like fake Jim from The Office?
That guy seemed very familiar to me, and I couldn't place that actor.
Lacey. You're talking about Jake Lacey.
Yes.
So Jake Lacey, let me give you some movies he's done. He was in Obvious Child. He's in Carol. He's in The Office as Pete Miller. He's in 21 episodes. He's Pete Miller, a.k.a. Plop. He was in the 2012 to 2013. He's in the Michael J. Fox show for an episode. He's in Girls for 12 episodes. He plays Fran. He's in
I think he's just got that generic white MC face.
It just seemed like an odd casting choice for him to be the bad guy, but then the bad guys weren't I don't know. It was like almost cartoonish what they were anyway, so maybe it worked. The wolf here has what I call Jurassic Park 3 syndrome, where the large giant creature somehow is able to sneak around very easily. So they never hear the wolf coming in the woods, which, was a famous scene in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is so large you hear it coming. You go, oh no. But here the wolf just is literally, especially with that last guy, the wolf is literally right behind him and he had no idea. He never knew that thing was there. Bullshit, I say. These are giant monsters. You should hear them coming. They should be rumbling things.
I mean, yeah, they should be shaking the ground next to you. They're very big.
Well, what did you think of these three monsters, Mr. Geromini, having played a little bit of the video game version?
Well, the monkey is pretty on point. Different color.
Yeah.
But close.
Just a regular monkey. Mm-hmm.
Godzilla ripoff?
Yeah.
I wish they had gone more distinct with the monsters. They went with the sort of like, well, we'll just enlarge them a little bit, but they'll mostly be kind of similar to what they are. I wish they had gone a little crazier like the games do.
Yeah.
I think that would have given a little more visual distinction.
And they were bipedal in the games too, but only the monkey is here. The wolf has like weird porcupine quills and then like a little bit of flying before he kind of dies quickly.
Yeah, I will say of the three, the wolf is the most interesting just because of all the unique mutations it has.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, the monkey is just a super powerful monkey.
Because we'll still like him, right? All he is just angry for a while, so we don't like him. And then they de-angrify him, and then he's okay again. He's just chill.
I could like a wolf with a, spiny tail and has a little bit of flying from time to time.
So we're going to pick our favorite animal? Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got to be wolf for me.
Maybe I'll go with the rat. I don't know.
Oh, what was the rat's name again? Larry the rat?
Yeah. Did The Rock's character seem to suddenly switch halfway through the movie and he became like a lot funnier or like attempting to be funny and a lot more genre savvy?
He seems pretty consistent throughout to me. But I also have not watched as many Rock films as you have.
What about you, Joe? Am I crazy? He seemed so generic in the beginning when we introduced it to him and like his team of three people that I had to spend 20 minutes with to not care about them ever again.
You bring up a good point because I noted that as well about the intro characters. Yeah. I felt like we were being set up for these are his quote-unquote family that he will shepherd through the film.
The Rock loves having a family.
Yeah, and there seems like there's some, character development, we'll say, for those characters.
Yeah.
But then they get immediately dropped when Scientist Lady shows up.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just like, how is she going to fit in? Is she a bad guy? Is she a good guy? And she hijacks the story. We just go with her. And The Rock, who gets captured because he's friends with the monkey, he's on the plane in handcuffs, and then when things go bad, he just like breaks out of his handcuffs. Why wouldn't he do that earlier?
The plot didn't demand he broke him out earlier.
Yeah, so that brings me to my next point. Joe more than Mr. Geromini, but you feel free to welcome to chime in. Is this The Rock's Jumping the Shark movie?
You don't think he's jumped before? Yes, I agree. This is definitely awful. It's followed by another... We're in for a rough couple of weeks now.
Like, Planet 51 was bad, but there's something about this where it's bad, but also celebrated. And it's like The Rock pushed it a little too far. The Rock was just trying things out. He had to take bad roles. But here he can do whatever he wants. He can revitalize whatever nostalgic franchise he wants.
Yeah, you would think after Fast and Furious, he would just be more selective on the things he does.
No, he's just like, 4 movies a year.
No, he's like, let's do
out.
everything. I would say San Andreas was a real big jumping off point for being fucking awful and boring and bland, and you're making a sequel to that now? Sure, okay.
Yeah, San Andreas felt like a movie where it was like, hey, what if we made a movie about like a terrible earthquake happening because of the San Andreas fault line? And they're like, okay. And then like they ran out of ideas a little bit through the script. But this movie feels like terrible screenwriter guru self-help books where all Hollywood executives now have to read it to know if a script is good or not. And the script writer's like, all right, I've hit these are the 12 plot points we're going to have. And then that's all the screenwriters cared about seeing those on the executives cared about seeing those plot points on those correct page numbers. And whatever happened in between didn't fucking matter because none of it seemed to make sense all of it was like random and just was a terrible excuse to get us from one plot point to the next for the sake of satisfying these executives and the weird metrics they measure good scripts by. This is my rant.
I can solve this problem that he's having.
Yeah.
Hire better and more interesting actors to your movies. His movies have had like some of the like lamest. I'm not trying to be mean to these people, but just like act against someone like in San Andreas. If he just had one fucking scene with Paul Giamatti, maybe that movie would have been like worth half a damn. Get someone that can like fucking level The Rock with some good acting and be like, make him fucking work hard.
Mr. Geromini, you've seen a lot of action films. What did you think about this one in comparison to other ones you might have liked?
Well, Joe's pulling at an interesting thread here.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with this film is The Rock is asked to do too much. When you look at a film, well, when I see a film like Rampage, this is a pure Rock film because the Rock character is the driving force.
Yeah.
Where I think a smarter Rampage surrounds The Rock with other competent characters.
Yeah.
Like, so in this film, The Rock is a celebrated zookeeper, but also a special forces guy.
Yeah.
And can also fly helicopters. That's like 3 distinct characters they rolled up into one character.
Yeah, they don't mesh very well either. They keep hitting us home with like The Rock is like a cynic who hates people. And like that never really changes by the end of the movie.
Take all the people we spent 20 minutes in with the beginning and give them the things you gave The Rock.
Yeah, and that's a common, like, blockbuster team markup is like 3 dudes, 1 lady. And in fact, we got that last movie, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which sort of did what you suggested, Mr. Geromini, which surrounded him by other competent actors and characters, so The Rock doesn't have to carry everything on his own. And that movie, though not a super great movie, does work much better than this Rampage film.
As far as action films go, I think a good action film, and I'll list one of the greats here, is Terminator 2.
Yep, that's a good choice.
Hell yeah.
A good action film has characters that express their characterization by driving the plot forward.
Yeah.
And I think The Rock really just gets taken along a ride. He's not like a driving force.
Yeah.
Things happen to him and he reacts. Whereas, characters in T2, they sort of take initiative and that drives the plot.
Yeah, agree there. The only real action The Rock takes is stealing that helicopter. And even he can only do that when Good Wife Guy helps him out.
Yeah, it's really funny that you bring that up because The Rock never really drives the action. And his name was Driver in one of his movies. Remember Faster?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Geromini. Sorry, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Super useful take
I pulled
there.
those deep cuts for you. Don't worry.
Very helpful.
The Faster from 2011 or 10.
Which I didn't mind. Like that movie, I didn't mind that much.
I know, when we ranked, that's probably going to be in your top 5.
That might be. It's a very small 5. So, Mr. Geromini, you played the game, then you watched this movie. Were you disappointed by the lack of similarities, or did you think some changes were good?
I really didn't have any expectations that this film would pay any homage to the arcade title. So I wasn't really disappointed that they made any changes because I think the bar was so low.
Okay.
But I don't think you would find anyone who was a fan of the Rampage arcade title and then saw this movie and was like, I'm upset that they changed this and changed that. Because I don't think that's a title that has strong emotions around it.
Yeah, it'd be like if you took Duck Hunter and made that a movie.
Duck Hunter.
Yeah, because all you do in Rampage is like the whole point of Rampage is you're a giant monster and you beat up buildings. So like there's not really much to work with. It's like it's weird that you have to own the rights to it to make this movie because they're both so generic that you think you could get away with it. And all in Duck Hunter, all you do is shoot ducks. And so like that feels like the same level of generic.
Yeah, I'm just a little upset that this is how you broke the news that I am the new creative director on the Duck Hunter movie.
Finally hitting the big leagues.
It was like when it was announced Adam Sandler was going to make a Candyland movie. You were like, what would be the point of that?
Oh,
just have it set in a candy world.
Right now, I would take that over anything in the entire world. More than $1 billion. I want a Sandman Candyland movie. Give it to me. Who is? Where is he? Where is he? Is he?
It could be coming.
Like,
It's just expensive to make because they want it to be like the candy version of Lord of the Rings.
Oh no! I want it to be like
a trilogy. And
I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy, but they want it to be like it's a serious battle to save Candyland from the black licorice guy.
No, I want it to be very silly and childish. I don't want it to be epic.
No.
Ew. The word epic needs to fucking die.
Yeah, nobody's using that right. Not one of those movies is written in dactylic hexameter. Not one.
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mr. Geromini gets my deep classical cuts.
That's a 1% joke, as I say. It's a joke for the 1%.
Well, for the listeners who write in about my Etruria Troy connection, we'll see.
Oh, yeah. This episode is for that.
It's for the classicists out there.
They're really tuning in for it.
So one thing I like about this movie that they did that reminded me of the Bryan Cranston Godzilla film. I like how we call it the Bryan Cranston Godzilla film, even though he's in it for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that bummed me out the most when I watched that movie. It set me up for disappointment.
What that movie I think did well that most people seem to hate for some reason is that it like held back on the monsters for a lot of the movie. It hinted at them here and there so that when it had the big attack, it was good. But so I like in this movie that we see a lot of the wolf and the monkey, obviously, but they kind of hold the lizard back in reserves until we get to that climactic battle in the last 40 minutes. And I think that was a smart move. It's one of the few things I would credit this movie for doing well. So I appreciated that.
They stole the Godzilla shot, though.
Yes.
That thing came up out of the water. It was the same shot. In my mind, I was playing the Godzilla scream.
Yeah, and I mean, the scream that it makes is oddly close. I'm surprised if you Bull's trying to sue, why the Godzilla people aren't trying to sue. It was just like a less elephantine version of it.
Are you saying maybe this was the wrong property? Maybe they should have tried to get the Godzilla property.
I mean, Rampage is just Godzilla, with a monkey.
There are a ton of random Godzilla monsters. You pick any kaiju you want. You get 3 random kaijus.
I mean, really, the last 20 minutes of this movie is Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, why did the Godzilla people not sue?
I know. Especially since they've been working on that movie for like 6 years for some reason. 7 years. It takes them forever to make a Godzilla movie, I guess.
Well, this movie's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because they need to finalize the axe that King Kong uses.
Yes, of course.
His magical axe.
He uses an axe?
You haven't seen it?
I've seen no trailers. I just want to go in and assume the worst.
Going fresh.
Spoilers. It's King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh my God, Joe, did you send me this photo where Zack Snyder has ripped off Mirror, the most cinematic film ever made? That fucking asshole.
The most cinematic movie ever made is now called the Snyder.
It's now Snyder's Justice League. Do not steal from Mirror to put in your Justice League movie.
It's also one of the longest movies ever made.
It's no Satan Tango, though. I'll tell you that. I'll sit through 7.5 hours of Satan Tango. I will not sit through 4 hours of Justice. What do you think of this Justice League Snyder cut, Mr. Geromini, that just came out this week?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
4 hours is long.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I think you just need to split your film up into like a mini series. It's okay to watch like an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the full 4 hour film.
Yeah, why didn't they do what Harry Potter 7 did and just be like, how do we milk this? And just like, Zack Snyder cut part 1 and Zack Snyder cut part 2. You get 2 tickets out of you.
You have to imagine the fan outrage if they were to be made to wait any longer than they already have, because these fans are some of the most it's such a toxic fan base, and it's just like I've seen the Snyder movies. They're fine.
Fine is a good word.
Fine.
Yeah.
Capable films.
I don't know. Snyder's he's got his fan base. I think I'm more in the pocket for his zombie movies though. Dawn of the Dead was pretty damn good for a remake.
You're in Snyder's pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Dawn of the Dead film.
I'm in the zombie Snyder pocket because now he's got a Netflix movie with Dave Bautista coming out in the summer. And it looks good.
Oh, Dave Bautista, who thinks himself a much, much better actor than The Rock.
I mean, have you seen his little glasses in Blade Runner 2049?
Here's some more examples of the jumping the shark moments in this movie. The Rock, not once, but twice, has to convince government agents that they are doing the wrong thing. We are recycling scenes now in this movie.
What about when the monkey flips him off?
The monkey, yeah, it's just a little joke. I expect that from blockbusters. I don't care. It's the classic Hollywood version of like anytime somebody signs, they have to say what they're signing so the audience knows what the F's going on.
Yeah, and the gorilla signing, fuck you.
Yeah, I worked with deaf people for a few years and learned sign language to communicate with them. Never did we ever say the words out loud that we were signing. That would be a ridiculous thing to do.
When you were working with deaf people, did they flip you off sporadically?
No, they respected me. It was a good
How else
relationship we had.
are you going to convey the conversation if not speaking, though? I mean, you have subtitles, but...
I know, nobody wants to read, even though I have to read each location we're in so I know where we're at, so I'm willing to do that reading, I guess.
You could have had the other characters translating what was going on. That might have given them something to do. And that seems like something that could happen.
Yeah, the point of the guy was to, like, be scared monkey pawn, and the girl was like The Rock discarding a love interest, which he probably should anyway, because he's like 20 years older than she is. So what I learned from that is The Rock's not a creepy dude. And then like The Rock had like even like his best friend, like we don't do anything with him after minute 10.
Well, we know why The Rock isn't a creepy dude, and that's because he has his eyes on that 2032 presidency.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. I want to talk about how this is when I felt the movie Jumping the Shark, when like the government was very okay with sending The Rock and the geneticist to be the only ones to handle the crisis. Like there's not like, hey, let's bring you in to our researchers and let's figure out like a good way to fix this problem. And it was just like, no, you guys go take the helicopter, do whatever you need. We are just going to sit back and impotently shoot guns at it and not learn that shooting guns at it is not solving the problem. So we're going to keep on doing it until we're all dead.
It's a searing take on America's foreign policy.
Yeah, have you seen this a lot in Mr. Geromini in these monster movies where, like, the government just constantly shoots them until they get destroyed by these monsters? When is the tank going to be like, fuck, I'm out of here, it's not working? Or when is, like, the commander going to be like, yep, the gun plan isn't working anymore, let's try something new?
Well, I think to carry a little water for the military archetype character,
yeah,
if you've spent your whole career... swinging a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
And then The Rock, here's the most egregious jumping the shark moment. The Rock gets shot. He falls to the ground. We think he's dead. And then he just comes back and he's fine. Like there's a tiny bit of blood where the bullet hole is, and they wash it away. They lampshade dim it by just saying like, I guess they missed my vital organs. But he's walking around. He's jumping around just fine. He's having this battle with the only reason they got rid of The Rock is so that, one, that's when you have to have your death and rebirth moment in that script page number. We have to think that he's dead, so when he comes back, he looks miraculous and he looks like a hero because he has this Jesus-like thing going on. But two, it's just so we can feel relieved when the geneticist gets saved by The Rock because the geneticist is not autonomous enough to save herself. Mr. Geromini, how did you feel about The Rock coming back and was perfectly fine from his gunshot wound?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Pretty dumb. But here, consider this option.
Yeah.
If we're going to pump this script up, we should have had The Rock grab the cure and then get eaten by the monkey. So Men in Black style.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
This movie could have used Will Smith. Oh, can you imagine if Will Smith was in this? Oh my God.
Will Smith only likes to play opposite himself these days.
I think The Rock needs to have... yes, we should get into that. The Rock needs to work with a big movie star that's like a big action movie star. I'm not talking like I mean exudes charisma. Jason Statham does nothing for me. I'm talking about like he needs a Will Smith or like, come on, give me a big action star like that would like just fucking throw him for a loop.
The coverage was so bad in that scene where they're getting the antidote, we'll call it, that I thought actually The Rock had taken it. And then I thought maybe The Rock like geneticized himself to like survive his wound, kind of like he does at the end of Baywatch, where he like takes a poison to last a little longer. But then it turned out she took it, and like that's how they fixed it. But I thought we'd get like a giant mutant rock for a little bit here. But no, they just said, you know what, he's alive now, the end. All right, real quick before we go into Young Rock, I want to bring up some interesting statistics. So Rampage, obviously based on an IP, a lot of The Rock's films we've had recently, all based on IPs, all big successes or pretty close to them. The number of spec scripts, Mr. Geromini, for you, that is a script that is written not based, it's a pure original script. It's not really based on anything previously written or another intellectual property. In 2011, 10 years ago, the amount of these spec scripts sold was 110. Not bad. Pretty good there.
Per year in Hollywood?
The whole year, 110 spec scripts were bought. Not all of them were produced, but they were bought hoping to be produced. In 2020, almost 10 years later, that number is 25. Part of it, of course, is that they are making a little bit less movies, but part of it is they're all in on this tentpole strategy. That's where they want to do, and it has kind of bitten them in the ass this last year, but I don't think they've learned anything from it. So I think that number is going to keep getting smaller.
It's hard to think another event like this would happen.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the take of the Hollywood exec. Well, this was a once in a century thing. It won't happen again. Let's just go back to business.
Well, anytime like a major movie studio has shuttered, it's always been on the back of like a big blockbuster's colossal failure. The one that comes to mind is United Artists shuttering after Heaven's Gate. I don't know, like if you know like that is the demise of a film production company, like that you got to keep rolling those dice 10 times a year. That's the plan.
Well, the money's just too good on the tentpoles. Like if I'm gonna make $1 billion, why would I roll the dice on these small chump change films, which are only ever going to make me a couple million? I'm going to roll it for the big money, the $1 billion hits.
Yeah. So my only hope is that the TV superhero shows that are coming out become more interesting and more personal and cannibalize the bland feature film superhero movies. And then like there are 3 successes in a row, and that would bankrupt a company. That would bankrupt a studio.
Tell you right now, that's why they are so afraid to release Black Widow because of WandaVision doing so well.
Yeah.
And now that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier just came out, I'm going to tell you something. I watch these things, and then I'm just like, why do I watch this? This doesn't interest me. I'm just so... And even all the fan theories, I'm just like, how do I get on board with all these things? I just don't care. It's not fun. I don't know what people find so fun about them. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me now. Maybe I'm an old fuck.
You've aged out of the superhero movie. Mr. Geromini, are you a fan of the superhero films?
I like Spider-Man.
I've been done with the superhero films for a long time.
Excellent.
I feel like I've mentioned it before, but they just haven't brought anything new story-wise for me. I feel like stories, characters, plot, setting.
Yeah.
Rinse, recycle, repeat.
Yeah, you could take any one of these films and if you like rip the title off and put a different title on and change the names of the characters. They all seem very replaceable to me.
Yeah, the one that got close was the first half of Logan. And then the second half just evolves into more superhero kind of things.
You know what's a crazy fucked up movie?
What?
Like, I can't believe exists and it works?
What?
The remake of Cape Fear that Scorsese did with De Niro and Nolte.
How did we get onto Cape Fear? Why are you bringing up Cape Fear?
Because I'm talking about movies that are good.
We can't just we're not just generically talking about movies that are good, Joe.
No.
This is a rock podcast. We don't talk about good movies here.
When we do Robert De Niro, we can do Cape Fear, Joe.
Oh, God. That sounds amazing.
I have a couple quick hits on this film before we move on.
Let's do it.
I like the intro. I think that's a good intro. Partly because I like space, but also because starting in the middle of a disaster with characters running around while things are exploding, I think that's always a strong lead-in.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Brings you right in.
And it also reminds me a bit of that monkey episode from Cowboy Bebop. So I think it's episode 4 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's 4. Mm-hmm.
So like the intro, hate the ending.
Okay. Yeah.
If the monkey's dead, keep him dead.
Yeah.
And then to have him come back and then make this weird sex joke. Tonally very odd.
Yeah, the movie, again, that was sort of the weird thing about The Rock being like, tough, searing look, brooding guy, being like, we gotta protect the monkey. And then all of a sudden he's like cracking wise and like bending genre and like being self-referential. It just felt so weird. Like, it's almost like The Rock looked at the script and was like, we got to get me some jokes in here, guys. And then they threw some in, or like he just improv'd on the day. And the director was like, The Rock. And he's like, I'm an executive producer. And he's just like, fine, let's keep going.
I'm an executive producer.
Yeah, I'm an executive producer, bitches. You do what I say. He's okay, fine, Rock, fine.
Let's just switch it up and do a Cape Fear episode next week. No, we're not. That sounds amazing.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
The new one? I have not seen the new one.
The new one from 30 years ago. It's
my goodness. Okay, no. We're so old, Joe.
Okay, come on. 1991. This is the movie he did in between Goodfellas and The Age of Innocence. Cape Fear.
Oh, no.
And hold up. Yeah. It has like brief little cameo performances from Gregory Peck, who's like...
Makes sense.
And who was in the original,
yes.
And fucking the other guy. Why am I forgetting his name?
Yeah, what is
Who's
that
in the
guy's
original
name?
Cape Fear?
I don't remember.
Gregory Peck and oh my god, he's in it way more too. Gregory Peck has got like a 3-minute role in it. This is driving me crazy. Hold on,
That's
give me
fine.
1 second.
You look it up.
I was disappointed that elite soldier guy introduced like 30 minutes later.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna be like the primary antagonist. No. He came in and he left.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna get out and then like get revenge, and he might kill off one. It might help kill off the other two, but then like goes to kill the monkey, and The Rock's like, no,
misstep.
Because we spent so much time with that guy too.
Yeah.
Very odd. Yeah, Robert Mitchum, very good actor, Joe, considering
Incredible.
the time period was in. Like, he could do, despite not really being a method actor, he could find some of that in some of the roles he did near the end of his career. Very impressive. I guess any more hot takes, Mr. Geromini, that you're hoarding there?
There's a couple cool one-shots that I like in this film.
Battle them off.
I don't know if you call them one-shots, but a couple scenes that are like 30 seconds long with a lot of action going on.
Yeah.
I was impressed by the accomplishment there.
Okay, yeah, so so Brad Payton can direct action. We just got to give him a script, I guess, where the action works well with everything else.
The other Brad Payton movies?
Are they all Rock movies too?
Well, I'm sure. God, what a filmography.
Yeah.
So he's got Rampage. He's got San Andreas. He's got Journey to the Mysterious Island.
That awful movie.
He's got Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore.
Notably not a Rock film.
He's got this movie Incarnate, which I've never heard of, that stars Aaron Eckhart.
No, I don't know
He's
that
got
one.
San Andreas 2 down the pipeline.
Okay.
And that's it.
It seems like both of our figures that we followed have had very successful careers and have propped up directors because of it.
Are you talking dirty on Dennis Dugan?
Yeah, there are specifically directors that only do Sandler films, only do Rock films.
I believe Dennis Dugan. Did he do Tommy Boy? Let me look it up.
Like, the Brad Payton must owe his mansion to The Rock at this point.
No, it was Peter Segal. Never mind.
Look, if you can find a successful actor,
Dugan,
ride those coattails.
Exactly.
Beverly Hills Ninja.
Ride them into expensive zip codes.
Yeah. See, that's my point, Joe, is that when Dennis Dugan isn't doing a Sandler film, it's Beverly Hills Ninja. Like, that's the caliber that he can whip up.
I watched that recently. It's not fun.
Yeah, yes.
There's a couple
Really?
of,
Really?
Yes,
With a title like that.
It's a Chris Farley picture. I like Chris Farley.
It should have been a sequel to Beverly Hills Cop. Like, Axel Foley needs help of a ninja.
3 of those, and they're making a 4th one.
Okay. Well, the second Coming to America just came out, and I wish they had called it Coming Back to America and not Coming to America 2.
Yeah, because it's just coming with the number 2 in the middle of America. Like, yeah.
I don't want
It's just
that.
confusing because the movie's originally called Coming to America.
Yeah.
And
Coming Back to America gives us it's a sequel. We gotcha. I'm excited now. Like, I like that it was Friday after, like next Friday and Friday after next as sequels to Friday.
Brilliant title.
I think that's smart.
Absolutely.
I think be a little more clever Coming to America too. All right, let's take a little brief chat here and talk about Young Rock, shall we?
Yes, what the Rock is cooking. Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople, been a long time.
Did Joe?
I
Did
need
Joe?
to talk Young Rock.
I missed
Joe,
it.
You didn't watch it, Joe?
I missed it. I didn't know there was a new episode.
They had college
How could you
age
miss?
Rock this time.
Oh, that sounds fun. Oh, he was doing the football.
He's doing the football. Yeah, Mr. Jeremy, you
Yeah.
watched it?
I watched it.
Yeah. So
Oh,
he-
I mean,
ready.
I know The Rock's life very well, so it's just like
it was his first year, and he was like coming off hot out of the gate in practice, and then in the last practice before the first game in his freshman year, he injures his shoulder. He can't play for the whole year. And he's like, it's like him learning to deal with it. But he seems to have depression, but don't worry, it gets cured phenomenally quickly in the last 2 minutes of the show.
it's only a 22-minute show.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Jeremy, you're a football fan. What did you think about sort of getting a peek behind Rock's football life or football life at Miami University in the 90s?
I think this show is nuts. Just absolute bonkers.
Yeah. Bonkers in what way?
I guess I learned a little bit about the U. I thought they were having a big laugh at that coach for sounding ridiculous, but
Yeah.
he just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's famous for this gravelly voice.
How did he get that
Who was the
voice?
coach?
I don't remember the coach's name, but yeah. So this Germany. This is the first episode of Young Rock you've seen. This episode 4.
Correct.
So what did you think coming in blind?
I assumed it would be. I don't even know what I thought. I thought it was going to be a sort of generic comedy and not so much focusing on The Rock's life, but
Yeah.
on maybe funny things that happen with The Rock as a character. So I didn't think it was going to be so focused on the biography of The Rock.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Well, I mean, it pretty much these interviews are excuses for The Rock to tell funny stories, and that's of different ages. So, like, there's a college age Rock, and that's this episode, but there's also high school Rock and like little boy Rock, and we kind of jump between the three.
That format is interesting. I don't know
Yes.
if a show's done something like that before.
I have not seen it. I was surprised when I saw the pilot.
Interestingly enough, the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones does jump between ages. So,
Okay, so maybe they're hearkening to that.
I mean, that show is better. So I feel like I think a little less of The Rock for being part of this show, because this show to me feels very vain. It feels like I'm so rich and famous. I can make a show about anything that happened in my life, and people who watch the show will think better of me, because pretty much everything The Rock does in the show, he comes out looking great. And it's true in this particular episode, he like blows off classes and blows off finals, and that in and of itself in isolation isn't great, but he ties it back into, oh, it's a learning experience, and I grew as a character, or I grew as a person. I just feel like it's insane. It feels like a giant marketing episode on how great The Rock is. Like every week it must be like this.
Yeah, and my theory in the Baywatch episode was that he's actually planning to run for president in 2032, and like this is to sow the seeds.
Absolutely. And then he's like, well, you can watch my life and believe everything I do is good
Yeah.
and funny. And you can just be like, oh, my God, The Rock, he's so charming. Oh, he's just another one of the guys.
Yeah, and on the one hand, I kind of like seeing these moments where, like, in the high school episode, he's stealing things, and in this episode, he's, like, not being a good student at all, because, like, The Rock always, in these movies, just seems to be, like, perfect guy all the time, and so, like, this kind of knocks him down a peg. But then you're right, Mr. Geromini, by the end, like, it's all kind of forgotten and washed away, and we forgive him, because The Rock's just still a good dude.
I feel like that's the insidious part about that show.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's not really... I'm not really a great guy because look at all these bad things I'm admitting about in my past that no one's called me out on before.
Yes.
It's like you construct the narrative before people can criticize you on it.
A very common political move. So not too surprising. He's trying to get ahead of a lot of these things before they're used against him.
Yeah, I do come off a little negative. I'm not saying like blowing off classes is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It just seems like nothing can happen in a negative light that you could then think of today about The Rock.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was racist and he's still racist.
Yeah.
It's like something bad happened, but...
Yeah, minor peccadillos occurred, and he overcame them. This is very traumatic for him.
The Rock's running mate.
Kevin Hart.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I will say, Trump heavily involved in another football league before he ran for president.
Oh.
So the parallels are there.
Mm-hmm. Both on NBC shows. Okay, yeah. Notably, Joe, sadly in this episode, no Randall Park at all. He's now doing like a ESPN interview.
Oh, lame.
But they do get the real version of the coach, the present-day version of the coach, to do like a little video interview at the end as well.
Also insane.
Like Craig T. Nelson?
No, not Craig T. Nelson. Not the coach character from the TV show Coach. The actual coach of the version that was played, The Rock was playing for in the U.
Okay. I misunderstood.
So they get real life that coach at the end. Also weird in this episode, not really jokes. There didn't seem to be, not that they were jokes and they weren't funny. It didn't feel like there were many of them even seated in. There's like one, like a funny Allie joke about like fighting Allie, and then like the dad is super into dolphins. And like that's kind of it.
Do you think they were trying to go for the half-hour dramatic
I guess,
thing
but it's not really dramatic. It was just like, it was like the breeziest dramedy you've ever seen.
I did like the physical humor of the dance The Rock does at that party. That was funny. I laughed.
The Rock loves dancing ridiculously in movies and
With
TV.
those pecs?
Big fan. No, not with pecs per se, but he's like trying to hit on a woman, and he's very bad at it.
Okay.
So we don't think he's a womanizer. Okay, well, I think, any other thoughts you had on Young Rock, Mr. Geromini, before we wrap up today's episode?
This is a skip. You don't have to watch the Young Rock.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Geromini, you can review it on your blog.
It does not rise to the level of quality that my blog
review
has.
on the blog. Okay. All right, last looks on this movie. Why do we think The Rock did this movie? Joe, Mr. Geromini, what are your thoughts?
The Rock
I
did
think-
this movie because he's like, money.
They got the wrong license for this film. It should have been the Ape Escape license. I didn't have a bad time.
No.
There were monsters. Things got beat up. There's some action scenes. I'm an easy guy to please. Lots of things don't make sense, and The Rock is doing a lot of things. It's not an artistic accomplishment, but it is an entertaining product.
101 minutes.
Yeah. To stick the nail on Dave Bautista, if Dave Bautista was in this movie instead of The Rock, same movie. It's not a better movie. So there you go. Why did The Rock do this movie? I agree with Joe, for the money. And also, not only the money from this film, but future money, because he knows more is coming. The Rock has job security until he becomes president. He's good to go.
Yeah, I just wish... Yeah, The Rock needs to work with better directors.
Yeah, The Rock needs to have more movies where he's saving cities or saving America, like the end of San Andreas, and then we'll just associate him with American hero.
We already kind of found out that The Rock works pretty well with Michael Bay in that movie. They're both action guys.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the problem? Why aren't they working more together?
I guess he can't find a slot for The Rock in any of his Transformer films or Turtle films.
He's done with the Transformers. He's finally done with those fucking things. Thank God.
Okay.
But
Five
no,
was
like
enough.
he's making some fucking movie now, and he almost killed like a bunch of people on set with his like cars blowing up.
Well, maybe that's why The Rock doesn't want to do it.
Well, The Rock's he's got to put his badass card in there and say, yeah, I worked on a really crazy shoot for this action movie.
I don't know. He's got a 12-year plan now for presidency. He can't be dying.
Oh, God, boring.
All right. Well,
risk your life.
We'd like to thank our very favorite guest, Mr. Geromini, for joining us this week. Mr. Geromini, what's the name of your blog?
It's blog.paulgeromini.com.
Very easy to find. Of course, we'd like to thank Joe. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Laramie Cigarettes. Remember, the only way to kill a monster is to tar their lungs. And, of course, we'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards. I am your host, Patrick Scale. You may find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at QuixoticUnited.com and social media, presumably with a similar-sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
You can hide your head, you can throw me in the lime pit, you can bowl my days and tell me I'm not blue. Everybody knows when I was sad I fell for you. Everywhere I go, I don't know where I
Oh, yes, Joe, Mr. Geromini and I might become owners of a football team. Partial owners.
That stimulus money really hit. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We might become owners of an FCF football team. We haven't decided which one, though. or what the benefits are.
Can 5
fan-controlled football. The hot new football sensation that's sweeping the Twitch nation.
But you don't want anything to do with Dwayne Johnson's football?
The XFL? That might be a little bit too high of a price.
A little
of
too
entry.
dear at the moment, but
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess, should they exist next year.
Not even the almighty Vince McMahon can get this thing off.
I mean,
twice.
It's not surprising he failed the second time after failing the first time.
Well, the second time did have the circumstance of the pandemic starting.
He can blame whatever he wants, you know? Mr. Geromini, I have a new fun theory. Are you ready for this?
hit me with your theory.
I think that the Trojans, when they left Troy at the end of the war, did not flee to Latium and then, of course, later Rome. I think they fled to northern Italy and then became the Etruscans.
I don't think that's what happened at the end of that Brad Pitt movie.
Now, hear me out, Mr. Geromini. Think about the etymology. Tros, being Troy, is now Troria. Not that unusual. Why does that E happen? Well, it happens around vowel clusters. Why is the O now a U? Well, we know vowels are very flexible, but not only that, Italy frequently had its O's turned to U's. Or, more likely, the Greeks just heard an O, but everybody else heard U's. Even more interesting, there's a CI plural added to a peoples that the Latins would then call other people. So the Greeks become Graiki, the Phoenicians Punici, the Etrurians Etrusci, Tros, not that different. Even more telling, all of the language around Etruria speak an italic branch of Proto-Indo-European. The Etruscan language is actually closer, not to them, but to Peruvian and Turkish. Anatolia, of course, was where the Trojans came from.
Nerd.
So your theory is based on language and not archaeology?
Etymology, yes. But then there are perhaps relics that have a man carrying another man, and that thought could be Aeneas carrying his father Anchises. And since the Etruscans ruled Rome for 200 years, there's no reason to think that some of that mythology didn't spill down to Rome. And then 500 years later, when they're writing the Aeneid, the guy was like, well, yeah, of course we're descended from Trojans. Because they forgot the Etruscans told them that.
I wish I was smart enough to critique your theory, but unfortunately, I'm not.
Well, join me down in the hole where I don't know what's going on.
If any listeners out there want to critique my theory based on mostly etymological resources, you can email us at whathappenedtothem@gmail.com.
I don't know if that's our listenership.
It might be. Who knows? They're out there. Well, I guess we'll just do the actual show since Joe's time is limited here.
Well, let me just ask you one quick question before we do get going. Mm-hmm. What is the typical amount of production companies linked to a movie? How many? What's the average? Would you say?
Depends on the budget and if it was based on an IP, but it can be anywhere from like 3, usually 3 to 5 is the low end, and then like 10 to 12 is the high end.
Oh, okay. Well, this one has 7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so like lower budget movies or movies with newer directors or with more difficult concepts to market, they need to bring on a lot of people who are taking small burdens.
Do you think this movie needed 4 credited writers?
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
The movie we are talking about today.
We'll save it for when we talk about it. Well, Joe seemed to want to stop us from starting the show where bringing this up would have been a useful conversation piece.
I'm just saying. Let's go.
Okay.